Hey guys, how's it going? We are back with another week, the third week of gaming session. This week we had multiple releases with Prince of Persia and Palworld. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the biggest thing in the video game world right now, and that's Palworld. I remember Palworld being announced at some huge gaming event, and at the time it was kind of off because a lot of the models felt like they were taken from Pokemon, like 1-to-1, and just changed around a little bit. And with guns, Pokemon with guns, that's the whole first impressions of that announcement trailer. But now that it is released in early access, a lot of people have their hands on it, and honestly it's the biggest success in 2024. And I know it's only been a couple weeks here, but it is trending like hot fire right now. It sold over 4 million copies in only 3 days, and that is some crazy impressive numbers. And it's also the most played concurrent game on Steam ever, which is insane when you think about PUBG and the numbers they put up in 2017 and 2018. It's crazy to think that this game wasn't on anyone's radar really, and once it came into early access, it caught the world by storm. And like in Pokemon, you catch and create these parties that you find around the world, and it's akin to more of the recent Pokemon where it's an open world scale where you can go and look for Pokemon or pals, and those pals give you benefits to your base. Oh, and this game is a survival game, which is something that I did not think would work really. Thinking back on it, it makes total sense having a Pokemon open world game, and not just the half-assed way Nintendo did it with Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield. No, this game lets you have free roam in the open world. You can build bases, you can build a farm, you can build towers, monuments to give buffs to your players, your Pokemon, or pals. Oh, I can't get into that. Pals, not Pokemon. But yeah, they don't only help you in battle, they help you around your base. And if you need something crafted, the pals will be there to help that progress move along faster. If you have a farm, there's certain pals that give you wool. If you build a wool stable, maybe they have a stone perk where they can break down stone and give you like a material. So there's a lot of in-depth mechanics you can do with your pals that not a lot of stuff you can do in Pokemon. And I know it's a different game, but comparing Palworld and Pokemon is the thing you think of right away when you see Palworld. The game has this magical feel and touch, kind of like Breath of the Wild. The game is pretty quiet overall, like Breath of the Wild, but there are some chimes, kind of music effects, and music that comes in at the right moment that makes each experience a little more lively. And part of that is the pals you catch and bring back to your base. And like I said earlier, the pals will give benefits to you in combat and to your base, especially when you're crafting stuff and need to keep building materials. So at the workbench, if you need a hammer crafted, a spear, or a bow crafted, one of the pals that came to help build that process was a sheep kind of looking Pokemon or pal, but they have traits that will help you build the stuff at the works table. And I haven't caught a lot of pals, so I'm limited in what I've experienced in the automation process of building. And a lot of that I feel like is the pals and how much you can bring back. Another thing that the pals give you benefit to is when you're out at night and you're gathering or looking for different pals, you can have a pal fire type Pokemon that will light the way in the dark, which is very useful because it's very dark in the game, and having that extra visibility on you at all times is a great addition. And you don't want to always switch your weapon to the torch, to your weapon to your torch, just to find your way in the dark, right? And having that extra pal there is a useful tool. It's kind of insane the things they allow you to do with your pal, something they would never even think about doing in a Pokemon game. Having your pal be a resource. Obviously, pals are animals in this world, and in survival game, you need to survive. You need to eat, you need to feed your hunger, you need to feed your thirst. So one of those options is killing your own cow and eating it so you can have a good meal and live for another day. And part of that open world magic of Palworld is because of the wide open vastness of the area and the amount of discovery of the pals you can discover. Like, you may be on a cliff and there are a lot of chickens around or sheep around your vicinity. If you look down the mountain, you could see something a lot bigger far away, and that just makes you want to go to that area, and that should bring your curiosity and your discovery nature to fruition. Going from point A to point B is the first goal, and on the way that goal kind of changes, right? There are a lot of things that you see that you kind of poke at and you want to keep trucking along. That discovery and that open worldness that I don't think Nintendo nailed with the later Pokemon games, Palworld nails it 100 times over. And seeing the pals go in battle, it's pretty terrifying. You have a insanely powerful pal like the one I have that's level 10, and then some weak chicken wild pal that's just doing their own thing. And when I have my pal like out in the open, they sometimes just attack randomly, which is the fun of having a Pokemon out like that, because they're animals and they are unpredictable sometimes, and they do weird shit. And in addition to that, of course, you have the guns which I haven't unlocked yet, and seems kind of wild, especially in the trailers we've seen throughout the years. Yes, it's just crazy. And you can also use your sheep guy as a shield, and he can take all the damage. I haven't killed one fighting using it like a shield, but those mechanics are insane, and nothing in the world that suggests that a game like that would happen. Like a mechanic like that would happen, especially the way the models are very close to Pokemon. Of course, this game is in early access, so there's some bugs around this game, around the launch of it, and some limitations, especially for Xbox Game Pass players. So for Xbox Game Pass players, I think the only way you can do multiplayer is 2 to 4 players, and there's no dedicated servers, so you have to join on a party member, and that member has to be online pretty much the whole time, or else the server will go down. And that's the limitation of Xbox. I kind of get that, because they want that cross-play or the share play, I think, of the Xbox and the PC audience. So that kind of makes sense. But on Steam, it's free for all, pretty much. You could have your own dedicated server with as many people as you want, and that makes sense for it being a Steam game and them having so much community support with all the moddings and stuff like that. I also switched my time playing from keyboard to controller, and it was pretty stark difference. It works well enough on controller, but there was just too much buttons that doesn't make sense to me, and I just couldn't get a handle of the buttons and what it really wanted me to do. But over time, I did get used to it. It's still annoying to not have button prompts on screen. There's no way to cancel a ball throw. It's just hard to understand what the developer wants the controller player to do. But there's some quality of life stuff that I wish was there, like having an undo and redo button, also backing out for building a different item. So there's a lot of quality of life stuff that I feel like the developers couldn't put in at the moment, but now that so many eyes and so many people are playing it, it's going to get the support that it deserves. Also, I know a lot of people love this game, but can't bring themselves to love it in the way that they love Pokemon, because of how copy and paste the Pokemons and pals are. They are very, very similar. Like, some parts of the Pokemon are moved around compared to the pals, but yeah, some of the pictures I've seen online and the comparables of the pals and the Pokemon are very, very concerning for the developers of PAL, because Nintendo are ruthless. when it comes to their properties. So there's a lot of Palworld that I need to get myself acquainted to, and there's a lot that I know I'm probably not going to get to. Like the shrine that I was about to build but got sidetracked with other things. That shrine was supposed to give stats to your Pokemon or your PAL and stats to yourself. So that's something I needed to build for the first boss that I ran into and got deleted right away. Things like the shrine, like the pals following you around, like pals crafting and helping you build your bases. It's stuff like that that makes me want to dive deeper into Palworld and unlock all the crazy shit that we can find in the crafting system. I want to try out the guns. I want to try out the pals that affects different environments. I want to see how a fire pal goes into a water environment. I want to see how a dark type pal interacts with all the other Pokemons. The one I have is an owl, and that gives buffs to my other dark type pals. So there's a lot of nuance in the game that I will not get to for sure, just because there's so much in the game. But I can see how this game caught everyone and the world by storm. It has pretty much everything you want in it. It has Pokemon, pets, it has building, it has dungeon running, it has discoverability, it has an open world. A lot of things that make a survival game so special, especially when you look at Valheim and the way they work with exploration and discovery, and just the vastness of that world is kind of insane. And also Ark, for the same reasons, monsters to tame, building bases, PvP, dedicated server. There's all that things that makes a perfect survival game is in Palworld, and they're just going to improve on it, especially now that so many eyes are on it. For sure, this is a game I'm going to keep my eye on, and hopefully we can see a 1.0 sometimes in the future, and it won't go down after this huge bubble of excitement around it. But yeah, that was my time and my first impressions of Palworld. Hopefully this game stays, because it's very interesting and not a lot of games have the balls to do what they do, and hopefully they don't get sued or nothing happens to them. Nothing bad, at least. Okay, that's it for me for this week of gaming sessions. We'll be back for next week. Don't have anything planned really. Same thing as every other week. I have something in mind, and that will hopefully come together fully throughout the week. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week on the gaming session.